Synthetic textiles produces 38% of the world's microplastics. The feces of babies had large amount of microplastics that were present than the mother, because through the placenta it's going to the child, through the breast milk it's going to the child. Believe it or not, one of the lipsticks that I actually had the word polyethylene. Came to Bangalore, and I'm not joking, within 2 weeks my hair started to look like a broomstick. So this entire concept of sedentary life came into picture only over the past 30 to 40 years. There wasn't even a concept or knowledge about sedentary life, especially in the time of our grandfathers. People who live these fast-paced lives. It is like running a marathon, right? It is not a sprint. There are a lot of people, Ryan, who go and look for answers outside. But truly, with meditation, what happens is it forces you to look into yourself.
Welcome to Health Heroes with Ryan Fernando. I'm your host, Ryan Fernando, celebrity nutritionist and wellness advocate. In this series, we dive deep into the world of health and wellness by bringing you face to face with the most influential health experts and nutrition innovators. Together, we explore their journeys and gain valuable insights that will empower you to elevate your own health journey. Whether you're a fitness enthusiast, a nutrition newbie, or simply looking for inspiration to live a healthier life, you're in the right place. Join us as we celebrate these incredible individuals who are shaping the future of wellness. Let's get started together. Let's get healthier together. And so I have a superstar guest today, Miruna. Yoga, meditation, health, wellness, Instagram influencer. Well, let's speak to her directly and get her viewpoints on what she's advising the younger generation today. The generation that we call as Gen Z is her generation of focus.
First of all, thank you so much, Ryan, for having me in this podcast. Let me take you back a couple of years when I was in school. I actually grew up in an entirely different country, and the food that was available there, the vegetables, they were all imported. So even if I was eating a well-balanced diet back then, comparatively better than most of my friends, in fact, I was in fact known as one of the people who used to be very health conscious even then. And after my school was done, I came to India. I studied in NIT Trichy. My entire body completely shifted. I started to see a lot of changes within my body itself. I started to develop dust allergy when I did not even have that in the first place. Sinusitis. I started developing stomach ulcers. Every 6 months that I had to be hospitalized, I had to take drips, bottles of drips every 6 months. And
That
was
bad?
routine. It was that bad.
Could it have been the food that you were eating at the hostels where you were studying?
One could definitely be that. Food could have been something. Another factor could be the way that my gut microbiome itself was earlier versus now. I may not have been resistant to certain foods which certain Indians were building that resistance as they were living in this country. So because of that shift, my body just could not take that.
So what did you do then from that discovery of not being well in the gut and falling sick all the time?
At that point, I could not really do anything. I was not able to understand how to figure this out. I was going to the hospital every 6 months, and I was also having my NCC routine where I was fit as well. So I was having a good enough body, I was having a good enough diet, but still there were several factors which were holding me back health-wise. I was not understanding as to what more could I possibly do to make my health better. So that is where it truly started. After those 4 years, I came into Bangalore and the story continued. I thought having better quality of food, me controlling the ingredients that I was having, would make the situation better, but it truly did not. That is when I started to reflect back, look into my
How
body.
old were you when this was happening?
I was 18, 19, 20, and when I came to Bangalore, I was 21 years old. So this is when 21 was the start of when I truly realized that it was not just the food that I was eating, but it was the way I was eating. as well. That is
Was
also
there any
something that
one
matters.
point in those years when you were doing chemical engineering, is what you said?
Yeah.
So when you were like studying chemistry and engineering and all of that stuff, obviously to get into engineering means you're very smart in the head. So there must have been a smart brain point saying that I need to do something about this. Was it in the first year, second year, third year? Did you watch a video or did your mother say something to you? Was it one specific point or it was happened over a period of time?
Okay. I think it was those every 6 months I had some sort of a realization that there was something definitely going wrong, right? But it still took me a lot of years to really pinpoint as to what I was doing wrong. It was not one thing that I was doing wrong. It was multiple things that I was doing wrong on a constant basis. I was not happy with the way that I generally was. I was having so much stress for absolutely no reason at all. And that was causing a lot of the issues that I was having inside. I was so stressed that the food that I was eating was just not doing me any sort of service as well. The stress of performing well in those 4 years, especially when it is a government college, it's very competitive. You have these certain standards you need to meet. You need to be on top of the class at all points of time. You need to get the right kind of job. So it was several things which sort of contributed to this, which took me a lot of maturity and it did take me a lot of years to understand.
So when you finished and you came out, you knew you were going to go in the direction of health and wellness, or it was still unknown at that point?
I would say that from college, I was very well aware that health, fitness, and wellness was something that was very integral. However, I did not dive deep as much as I did until a couple of years ago. It was more of me just reflecting back on my body. I started to do all sorts of diets you would not even believe. I went on this water diet for 4 days where I did not drink water because people said it will detox your body from inside and you will have clarity of mind, thoughts. Any stomach related issues would also get cleared.
I presume you went through a nightmare of a period by the end
It
of that.
was absolutely horrible. I would stare at Swiggy and just look at dal makhani and be like, oh man, when is the time when I will get that morsel of food into my mouth? And eventually, once that was done, I did not go back to doing all these.
So you work with thousands of people and you guide them from the mind perspective and all. So from your personal learning, you would not recommend anyone to do a non-water fast, right? Without water fast, go with nothing. Am I right?
Yeah, it does not make sense. I mean, at the end of the day, your body itself naturally detoxifies itself from within. All we need to do is aid that. How do we help our body do that better? That is what we need to really look at. Going on these fasts where you only drink water for a couple of days, only go on these raw vegan diets. I'm not saying these diets are wrong. Do it in the right way. Do it balanced such that it is actually nourishing you from inside. My mental health went to an absolute downer during those 4 days. I was so miserable, but that is not how it's supposed to be, right? Your answer should not be an extreme solution. Your answer should be a balance. And that is what anyone needs to do.
Wise words, very wise words, I genuinely believe that people try fasting. Research has shown that 30 hours of fasting actually rejuvenate the body, but people don't do it right. And the word right equals scientific. Every body is different, and you have to change it accordingly. Now, speaking of you doing these different diets and all, what's your normal daily routine like as a wellness coach, health coach, a practitioner of yoga, a teacher of yoga? What's your normal day like?
All right. So when I wake up in the morning, it is usually at about 6:30. And at that time, I'm not joking, you will have the absolute best poop of your life because your body at that time is ready to detoxify. That time between 4 to 6 a.m. is one of the best times to actually go and take a dump in the bathroom. So you will see the poop that comes out is actually very free flowing and it's completely flushed out from your body. So that time is the time when I usually wake up, complete my business in the bathroom, and post that I immediately take my yoga mat to the terrace. Don't do anything. I don't even take my phone for the first 1 or 2 hours in my day when I wake up. That is something that I've kept very strictly for myself. I don't want any sort of distractions.
As a meditation person, why do you advise people not to touch their phone first thing in the morning?
As soon as you wake up, the first thing that you see sort of sets the intention for the rest of the day.
Sets the intention.
Yes.
So your intention is to do yoga and meditation. What sort of intention comes out of that?
Okay. When I go up and sit for pranayam,
What is pranayam?
pranayam is the art of regulation of breath that you do on your own to improve your state of being. Now, prana itself, pranayama is broken into two parts. One is prana. Prana means the life force energy, and ayama is the regulation of it. So we practice these breathing techniques which will give us certain kinds of results. So for example, if you are someone who is in general feels very cold during the winter, there are certain pranayama techniques which you can practice to build up that heat from inside. So there was one time when I was actually riding the scooty in Bangalore and I was feeling absolutely cold. I was wearing half sleeves, like, I was thinking that, I can handle it and all of that. And I was driving and I was feeling very cold. The air just hits your chest, right? I was sitting and doing pranayam while I was driving to build the heat inside of my body and I was fine, right? So pranayam is so beautiful because it
I just thought of the Tibetan monks who sit in the Himalayas and they put these cold blankets on them. So I'm thinking of Miruna's riding a scooty, and you can see steam coming off her body because it's cold in Bangalore, and she's like a fog machine going through the city.
So that's the thing, right? You see these yogis who have been practicing pranayam for years and years and years, who've dedicated their life to that. They're sitting in the Himalayas with just a cloth around their waist. And that's it. And people wonder and think, how is that possible? It's because they're doing these practices for years and years with the right kind of intention, building that kind of immunity from inside. You will not believe the benefits of pranayam are absolutely like wonderful. Any stress related issue or stress induced disease that you might get, pranayam completely reverses that or helps you manage that better.
So for the unenlightened like me, we get up in the morning and we rush and take our kid to school. So obviously it means I have to get up a little bit earlier. How fast could I do a pranayama and a yoga technique like you going up to the terrace and doing it for 1 hour, right? Is it allowed to do it in a shorter duration? And if shorter duration, how short can I get the benefits of this?
Okay. I don't do pranayam for 1 hour. I do 20 minutes.
Only 20 minutes.
Only 20 minutes.
What's the shortest? Today we have all of these shorts and 1-minute videos and all.
Yeah.
As an expert, what's the shortest period that you can practice where we will get some mental and physiological benefit?
15 to 20 minutes.
15 to 20 minutes.
Of just pranayama.
Okay.
I'm not talking about meditation, yoga, asanas. That is not that.
So I'm a little confused over here. When I think pranayama now, I'm thinking, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to link my thoughts and I'm going to meditate also. No. So pranayama is just focus on breathing.
It's only your breath work. So right now when you're sitting,
yeah. Okay. So can I read the newspaper and do pranayama?
You cannot actually do that.
So I need to be emptying my mind at that period technically.
Yeah.
So I need to have no distractions. That's why you said don't take the phone.
Exactly. That is why I do that the first thing in the morning itself.
So you kind of recalibrating your body first thing in the morning. It's like fine-tuning it first thing in the morning.
Exactly. So the thing is, right now we are living such busy lives, Ryan. As soon as we wake up, the first things we do is actually check our phone, check our notifications, like what is our calendar for the day.
So you're saying check your breathing.
Yeah.
Check your mind.
Yes.
Take your yoga mat. Try and start at least with 15 minutes a day.
If you are not giving yourself the priority to do that 15 to 20 minutes of that practice in the morning, how do you expect the rest of the day to work for you?
Very powerful. How do you expect the rest of the day to work for you if you're not respecting your body?
Exactly.
Powerful words from Miruna over here. So you're doing the pranayama, you're doing the yoga, but now I'm confused because somewhere in my head meditation is floating.
Okay.
So put the dots together for all of us who are uninitiated into this practice.
All right. Let me just tell you about the rest of my day, what I usually do, and I'll come to the meditation part as well. So as soon as I'm done with my pranayama, I do a couple of asanas, which are targeted towards my specific needs. Now, this is not something which I have usually shared with people. Actually, in fact, people don't know, but I have actually had a thyroid issue for very long. And I am practicing pranayama specifically to treat that and manage that. And I've actually got it under control by myself without any medication.
Wow.
Right? Only through pranayama, breathing, only through the asanas. So there are certain pranayama techniques which target your thyroid gland, which target your neck, right? As well as asanas, these inversion asanas where you do sarvangasana. You see people doing the shoulder stand, right? They put their legs completely up. It targets your thyroid gland. So depending on what you want to work on, or do you want to work on your overall wellness, right? You do the specific pranayam or asanas for that. So once that is done, I come down and I have my lemon water. Everyone knows why lemon water is absolutely beautiful. Now, people think that having lemon water tends to increase the acidity in your stomach. But when it's mixed with your saliva, it goes inside and becomes alkaline. It's very good for detoxification. Have my meals, and towards the evening, that is when I do my meditation. Right? Pranayam is different. It works on your breath. It works on your stress levels. It works on certain conditions that you might have. Right? But meditation is more of the connection that you have with yourself. You know, there are a lot of people, Ryan, who go and look for answers outside, right? You could go to a temple, you could go to someone who is very knowledgeable, right? You might go to different places for answers, but truly with meditation, what happens is it forces you to look into yourself. The answer is always closest to home. We ask the questions which are very further away. But meditation teaches you to ask the questions closest to home. And when you ask that, you will be able to get the answers which are further away, right? So it is a discipline, I would say, where you sit. Some meditation, you have different forms of meditation itself, right? You could do...
And this you do in the evening time.
This is my self-practice that I do in the evening.
Okay.
Right? So you can do meditation in the morning as well. That is what is generally preferred. However, I have these certain habits which I have set for myself. I do my pranayama and yoga in the morning. Evening, I do my meditation. Always make sure you have an empty stomach. So post-lunch, 3-4 hours post-lunch is always the best time to do the meditation. So either you can do your Om chanting, or you can just focus on your breath. So when you breathe in, it sounds like so. Hum. So you can focus on that. So and hum. Right? You could do that. Or you could do the chakra meditation. That is, we have 7 chakras in the body. You set the intention for each of the chakra, and there are certain mantras for each chakra that we chant out loud. So those are different ways as well to balance your chakra. So these are the different ways in which you can do meditation. Anyone can pick up anything that best suits them.
In meditation, they say clear your mind. Now, somebody like me who tries to clear the mind, I'm thinking apples, blueberries, cherries, this diet counseling, that diet counseling, this celebrity, that celebrity. And I can't clear my mind. It doesn't rest. So any tips for that?
Okay, that's a beautiful question. And actually, that is something that happens to everyone. In fact...
Oh, it happens to everybody?
Of course, it happens to everybody.
Oh, I just thought my brain wasn't wired to shut down.
Absolutely not. We all have a monkey mind, right?
Right. Oh, monkey mind. I like that term.
Exactly.
That's exactly how my mind goes. Whoop, 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 here and there and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And why is that? Is because our brain always wants these distractions. It wants these distractions. It wants different things to get stimulated by at all points of time. That is why we are so addicted to reels. That is why we're so addicted to shorts, because we're getting that dopamine that our brain wants, that happiness in a very short amount of time.
We all have monkey brains. So we need to get from monkey brains to meditation brains. India, are you listening in? Monkey brain to meditation brain. That's what we need to do, says Miruna.
All right. So let me tell you what you can do on a daily basis in a very simple way, right? Can you start with doing 1 minute every day?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, right? That is that you don't even need to put any effort.
So I started 1 minute.
Set the intention for 1 minute today. Next week, can you increase it to 2 minutes?
Right, I can do that.
Absolutely possible.
Yes.
And another way to also train your brain is while you are doing something, are you doing something else also along with it? While you are drinking your tea, are you looking at your phone? Or can you just drink your tea by only focusing on your tea and completely enjoying it in that moment? That is also meditation, right?
I am taking a 1 minute break and meditating into my cup of tea right now. But that's an amazing thought. Break it down into a smaller goal. Because I always thought I had to
Exactly.
meditate for 1 hour, and after 30 seconds, I'm like, I can't do this. It's just too long. I got to get back to my pods and reel casts and this and that and everything. So 1 minute is your recommendation per week. Go to 2 minutes the next week and build
Exactly.
from there.
Take your time. So you can increase 1 minute a day, you can increase 1 minute a week. That is up to you. What you can do on a regular basis is train your mind as you're doing your daily activities, right? When you're washing the dishes, are you listening to music and washing the dishes, or can you just do that on your own by only focusing on these dishes, right? We are constantly training our brain to focus on this one activity so that when you sit for that meditation practice in the evening, it is easier for you to focus on your breath or focus on whatever intention you are setting at that point.
And so, how long do you do your meditation?
I do it for 20 minutes and that's about it. Because in the morning, I will have about 1 hour of pranayam, my asanas. Even when you do your asanas, it is some form of meditation because you are focusing on the posture, you are focusing on your breath.
That's why my yoga instructor always keeps saying, focus on your breath, when I'm actually focusing on a diet chart when I'm doing my asana.
Definitely. We are all
So,
very busy, right?
right, you're
We're
very
all very
busy.
busy.
So I think that 1 hour that we give our body every day, which is kind of, I think, 4% of the day, is respecting the body, recalibrating the mind, recalibrating the muscles, and in your case, controlling even your thyroid, recalibrating the thyroid using breath, using your thoughts. So powerful thoughts, powerful thoughts. And are you an early dinner person in your routine?
Absolutely. So I complete my dinner at 7. At max, if there is some obstacle in the way, my max is 8 o'clock, and that's it. And I will probably go to bed at 11 o'clock and I wake up at 6:30. That is my daily routine. So why eating very early is important. In fact, the one biggest change you will see is you'll start to lose weight. In fact, you'll start to lose fat. Because what happens is when you eat early, your body will anyway take those 3 to 4 hours to digest the food. And the rest, 6 to 7 hours, your body is only focusing on detoxifying, detoxification from inside, cleaning. We go out for these detox juices, these detox diets and drinks. No, you don't even need that.
Just have an early dinner.
Just have an early dinner, complete it, have a well balanced dinner, right? That is more than enough. It doesn't even have to be as complicated. It's so simple, right? These are these small, small, simple ways in which you're helping your body become better from inside, right? So,
So I'm very enamored that you're talking about thyroid and you're working on the breath and the asanas to help it, and it's succeeded for you. And I know a lot of yogics and gurus who have done this and it works for them. And therefore, as a nutritionist, as a health coach, I like to encourage my clients to bring that into their practice. Now, a lot of people that follow you and a lot of people that follow me have very sedentary lives. We are desk jockeys. We sit at a desk and we work. We use our brains, we use our fingers. A few tips from you about the yoga positions that we can focus on and something that can help people because they're not moving.
okay. So this entire concept of sedentary life came into picture only over the past 30 to 40 years. There wasn't even a concept or knowledge about sedentary life, especially in the time of our grandfathers, right? That was the industrial revolution, manufacturing sector. They were always out and about. They were always walking. Of course, they had different stress that was going on, but now it's the scientific revolution, the technological revolution, right? We are forced to sit down. Our bodies are meant to move. We are built to move. And when we don't do that, we see a list of issues that is inside. Couple of people who definitely need that are people with arthritis. As you know, that arthritis, when you have two bones which are joined together, you have the synovial fluid around it. When you do not move, the circulation of that fluid reduces and it worsens your pain. That is why arthritis patients need to walk. Diabetics as well, because they need to expend that glucose that is there in your blood. Small things you can do on a daily basis. Now, one asana which is very powerful is your Adho Mukha Svanasana. That is your downward facing dog. So these asanas which I'm telling you is for people who do not have enough mobility, do not have enough flexibility, even people who are older, can do this and start it off, right? So first one is your Adho Mukha Svanasana, that's your downward facing dog. What it does is it strengthens your hamstrings, strengthens your calves, improves the flexibility of those regions, as well as it improves the circulation to your brain. So what this does is it helps you with your brain functions as well, strengthens your shoulders. A very simple asana that you can do.
And how long should you hold this asana?
Hold it for 1 minute.
Okay. And how many times should I do it?
Do it around 3 to 4 times. That's more
And
than
in
enough.
between the asana, what should I do?
Go back to child's pose. So as you are doing the asana, right, you need to go back. As you are resting, you go back to the inversion of that pose.
Okay.
Right? So Adho Mukha Svanasana, you are in that downward facing dog, you are in the inversion, right? Opposite of that is your child pose. So you go back to that child pose and rest, right? So that is one thing that you can do. Another one is Virabhadrasana, that is warrior bee pose, right? This is something that a lot of people have heard. Very simple. You don't even need to put in effort for this pose. But what is so beautiful is it strengthens your arms, strengthens your shoulders, and improves the flexibility of your hips. So there are a lot of people who tend to lose this out when they get older, right? They find it difficult to move their
Is
hips
it
and
because
their
we are sitting
waist.
at the desk all the time,
Exactly.
so the hip flexors shorten up and stuff that, right? So
Yeah.
that kind of opens it up.
Opens it up, right? So this is also something which is very simple that you can do, right? On either side, on the left side and on the right side. So it's called the warrior bee pose. Another one that you can do is Bhujangasana. That is your cobra pose, right? So what this does really well is it improves the flexibility of your spine. Now, people
Because we are always sitting at the desk every day like that.
Exactly. So it improves that. It improves the upper respiratory system as well. Improves the strength of your wrist. Now, people face a lot of issues with their wrist also, right? When they grow old, the knees and the wrist is something that is first affected, I feel like. That is also something that works on your wrist. Because it puts some pressure there, it helps you in the mobility of your wrist.
Do you feel that if you start in your 20s and 30s, these yoga asanas, these three that you mentioned, it has a long-term effect in your old age, as in it really helps them out?
So it's a mixture of a lot of things, right? When you are practicing your breathing right, when you are practicing your asanas, that is, when you start it off early, you will definitely reap the results towards the end.
Why I'm asking this question is a majority of my clients that come to me are in the 45 plus age category. So they have done the hard work, sedentary work, working in the office, climbing the corporate ladder, getting successful, ignoring their health, ignoring their body. And when I do meet youngsters, 20 to 40, I keep telling them I meet the 40s to 70s. And the one thing that they say is, can I go back in time and change my health?
Okay.
So you're a young lady. You do this as a profession. Do you think that the young generation will get a better benefit in starting yoga in their 20s and 30s or 30s and 40s, or they can start it later on in their life once they're retired?
So here's the thing, right? Let's take the example of money. Okay. When you take money, you are saving, let's say, 1,000 rupees every month, starting now, starting at your 20s, right? And you are constantly depositing that into an FD or your stocks, your SIPs, whatever it is. Towards the end, you probably have financial freedom. By the time you're 40, that's what happens, right? Whereas when you start at 40, you need a higher capital.
That's me. At 40, I started saving. So now I have lesser bank balance than a 25-year-old today because a 20-year-old started. So you're saying do a SIP for yoga and breath and meditation.
Exactly. You will see yourself aging very slowly. So people wonder, right, why yoga gurus or teachers, they look so young. It is because we are practicing these things from inside, not just on the mat. People think that yoga is about practicing this pranayama, asanas for that 1 hour on the mat. But it is not just that. It is about how you live the rest of the day as well. When you are eating, when you are sitting, do you have the intention of just focusing on your food? And are you sitting up straight? Now, why this is very important is that when you're sitting up straight and when you're eating your food, your breathing automatically goes into your stomach. Whereas when you're sitting a little crunched or hunched, your stomach is constricted now, the breathing automatically goes into your chest. So what your body thinks is it's in a state of stress as it is breathing in your chest. Your body moves into a parasympathetic state of mind, and the food that you eat is not digested well, or the glucose is always in your bloodstream. Whereas when you breathe through your stomach, you're telling your body that I am in a state of rest and digest. Please take the food that is there, utilize it well for the cells to function. When you are breathing every part of the day, are you in a constant state of stress where you're breathing through your chest? You know, a lot of my students have told me that, yes, Mirana, I'm mostly breathing out of my chest. It is right, it is necessary. But are you allowing your body to go back to that state of relaxation after that? That is what is very important. This is why knowing this, understanding this knowledge, understanding how to implement that in your body in the right ways will automatically help you look better, feel better. In fact, yogis do not really need that much food. You see people, they are barely eating, they will eat so little food. They will barely need anything for their sustenance. Why? It is because even what they are eating is enough to energize them. The pranayama that they're practicing every single day is enough to energize them.
That's life force energy basically for you. So speaking of life force, we both live in one of the most happening cities in the world with a lot of life in it. There's a lot of force in it. And so let's talk about our beautiful city of Bangalore. And there are a lot of issues that are happening for us. And I believe the younger generation is the generation that's going to lead us to the better development of our cities and the world. So let's take a few holistic health things. We live with hard water, and you're a person who influences a lot of youngsters. What's your advice? We live with hard water. Any tips from Miruna?
Okay, so first we need to understand what hard water even is. It is, of course, the calcium and magnesium salts that are present in water. Now, why this is really bad is you will see an immediate difference when you wash your hair. Your hair becomes dry, it becomes brittle, it starts to fall a lot. In fact, I had done hair coloring and bleaching in another city, came to Bangalore, and I'm not joking, within 2 weeks, my hair started to look like a broomstick. It became so bad. So it is very bad for colored hair as well, this hard water, right? So how simple ways in which you can test whether your building has hard water or not. So this will be, again, dependent on the water supply that you have, right? Depends on the areas, depends on the buildings, where you're getting your water from. A simple way to test it is take a clean water bottle, a clear water bottle, put half of it with water and put a clear soap, any sort of liquid soap, right? Just shake it well. If the entire half, the other half of that water bottle has soap bubbles, right? Then your water is soft water. It is good for your hair. But most of our waters, we will see the soap is just a very thin layer on top of the water. That is when you know it's hard water. Or you see your utensils, you see your shower faucets.
They're all salt marks.
Exactly, those white deposits. And I used to think that those white deposits were soap. The soap that you use to clean your dishes, right? I thought it was that, but in fact, it was the water. So those are the small ways in which you can see whether you have hard water or soft water and how you can overcome that. So one thing that I started to do in Bangalore is I started to wash my hair lesser. You don't need to be washing your hair every 2 days. Not needed. There are some people who wash their hair every day. Why do you want to subject your hair through so many chemicals, so much of these salts every single day? Is not required. In fact, over time, I trained my hair in such a way that I just need to wash it twice a week. Before I wash my hair, I soak it in oil really well. Those disgusting smelly oils that you get from your hometown, the ones that you used to shy away from, or I used to think, what is my dad even applying on his hair? The entire house smells so bad. Those are the best oils. Unfortunately, not the ones which smell very beautiful, right? So I soak it on my hair for a good 4 to 5 hours, take a head wash only twice a week, and have these shampoos which do not have these harsher chemicals, right? Which do not have sodium lauryl sulfate, parabens, all of that, because those tend to dry your hair. And when they dry your hair, you think, I need to apply conditioner.
So I'll share my secret with you. So my wife also has frizzy hair. She's like, do something about the hard water. You're a famous nutritionist. I'm like, I'm not the water supply guy, right? So what I did is I went and did a little bit of research, and on the shower head, you can actually put a filter,
Mm-mm.
a water softening filter.
Yeah.
So there's a company called Water Science
Okay.
that develops these filters.
Mm.
So every 6 months, I put in a new filter, and that filter is actually particles of, they look like salt crystals.
Mm.
So apparently it bonds with the salts of calcium, magnesium, and
Mm.
other salts and holds it back, and you get a softer water.
Yeah. So unless you go for a really good company like that, it works. Whereas initially I went to Amazon and just checked what is the most reviewed, researched, whatever. I picked that and it did not work at all. So in fact, what I started to do is I started to use the filter water that you get for drinking.
I have many of my clients, celebrity actors and actresses, who do that. And so they have the normal shower, but then the last rinse,
Exactly.
the 1 or 2 liters,
Yes.
is done with a softer water
Exactly.
or a water that is pH balanced for their hair.
Yeah. So that is also something that I do. Once I'm done with the entire wash, towards the end, I have this entire jug where I just dunk my entire head in the filtered water. That is, I would say, not very environment friendly probably, but if you have severe hair loss, then this is probably one of the best ways to go.
You know, I've just got a thought in my head, is like we talk about water, and the first thought that came to my head was plastic water bottles. Now we are surrounded by a lot of microplastics. What do you do, Meruna, as a meditation and yoga practitioner? You know, wellness is your mainstay. So what do you do to reduce the plastics in your life?
Okay. Well, there are 2 ways in which you can approach this. One is to reduce your exposure towards it, and the second is to make your body or enhance your body's natural detoxification mechanism, right? So the first thing is your synthetic textiles. That produces 38% of the world's microplastics, whether believe it or not.
Wow.
Synthetic textiles only. Why? Is because when you provide this kind of abrasion, when you rub against it, when you put it in the washing or the dryer, that friction that is created releases these polyester fabrics into the air or onto your skin, or you could probably ingest it. You never know, right? Whereas when you look at these natural fibers made out of cotton, hemp, jute, whatever it is, they are bigger. So even when the friction happens, they tend to clump up together. And it's big enough for you to realize that, okay, I've inhaled something else inside of me. And those actually will not cause any kind of endocrine disruption or anything as such in your body. Whereas synthetic fibers is one of the largest. So switching to natural cotton, natural fibers is always one of the best options. Another thing is your cosmetics. Believe it or not, one of the lipsticks that I actually had the word polyethylene in the ingredients.
That's used in to prevent the windscreens from frosting up.
Yeah, a lot of these plastics have that, right? All these plastic.
It was in lipstick.
Yes.
So you're putting it in, and you're swallowing it every day.
Exactly, and not
I
all
never thought about lipsticks.
Yeah, and women, whether they use a foundation, whether they use, blush, kajal, whatever it is, lipsticks are the biggest game changers, I would say, when it comes to like transforming your look. Lipsticks make or break your face. I mean, I love lipsticks, in fact. That is the one piece of makeup that I always use.
So what would you advise all the women? Go for more organic lipsticks? Are such things available? I don't know about this.
Yeah, they are available, but they are definitely a little bit more expensive.
But isn't your body worth it, right?
Exactly.
Because then you're putting plastics directly into you.
Exactly.
And you use the word endocrine disruptor. So I'm assuming that in addition to microplastics, all the other chemicals are also disrupting your system.
Yeah, exactly. So is it possible for you to reduce the consumption of all of these synthetic products that are there outside, not just your lipsticks? So when you look at lipsticks, you have polyethylene, polypropylene. These are the two major components which you should be avoiding in lipsticks, not just lipsticks, but any kind of cosmetics, right? Another thing would be looking at your daily consumption of plastics itself, your chopping board, right? I used to use the plastic chopping board, and I used to use a very sharp knife. It used to have all of these scratches, did not bother at all. And we used to cut the vegetables on that, and we used to scratch it, scrape it, and push it onto the pot, right? And then we wonder, how is it possible to have microplastics in our blood? Because we are directly consuming it every single day. In fact, it was even proven that the feces of babies had large amount of microplastics that were present than the mother, because through the placenta it's going to the child, through the breast milk it's going to the child, probably through the feeding bottle or like whatever it is, right? It is there. All of us have these microplastics in our blood. So one thing is to reduce the consumption, reduce our exposure to it. And another thing is, how do you detoxify from within, right? One thing would be to, of course, do pranayama and breathing. Pranayama, there are these specific practices which you can do, which will detoxify yourself from inside, improve your lung strength, remove the toxins from your blood as well. That is why you see these people, when they practice for a very long time, their skin clears up, their face will start glowing, their hair will get stronger, and you will wonder, what are they doing? Simple, just pranayama, right? Another thing would be, can you sweat every single day? How do you improve that? Sweat is a beautiful way of detoxifying from inside, not just for plastics, but also for the heavier metals also that are there, right? So that, or even can you go to a sauna where you have a lot of heat subjected to you, right? Where you are increasing that sweat. And finally, it's just the regular thing of having a good amount of fruits and vegetables in your diet, as well as water. See, our body itself is made up of 60% of water. So we need to give in that right kind of food, which will help our body also detox from within. And the food which has the maximum amount of water is fruits and vegetables. So just increase your consumption of that and just allow your body to detoxify from within.
Awesome. And when we started the podcast, you say you don't touch your phone, you start off your pranayama and yoga practice first thing in the morning. We all know about phones, cellular radiation, electromagnetic frequency, EMF. What's your thought process? What's your take on this?
Okay. So with each phone, before anyone purchases the phone, there is one specific value called SAR value.
SAR. Now, this is an engineer first and then a yogic person telling us. So SAF is what we are looking for.
SAR value.
SAR.
Yeah.
And where do we look for that?
So SAR value, you will have to look at it online, or you can probably ask the person who is selling you that.
So I want to buy a new phone right now. So I go and say the model of the phone, yes. SAR rating.
SAR value.
Value.
Yeah. So what this is called specific absorption rate. Now, when you have a phone, it emits your radio frequency, right? It is the amount of energy that our body, per unit mass of our body, absorbs these radio frequencies, right? And what we want to do...
So higher the value, more bad, or lower the value is more?
Okay. So what is a safe limit that has been prescribed to everyone is 1.6 watts per kg. In fact, my phone has at 0.98. There are phones which have the value of 0.2, 0.3.
I'm telling my research team to find this phone, the lowest possible SAR value. Guys, I need to buy a new phone. My battery is dying out. Find me the lowest SAR value.
Okay. Right. So what this does is, even if it might be a non-ionizing radiation, right? This is something that has come into picture probably over the last 20, 30 years. There isn't enough evidence, or there isn't enough research which has put into this particular field, which tells us exactly how it affects our body. There are two sides to this, but why would you want to take that risk in the first place? So even if those phones might be slightly expensive, can you possibly make a better choice for yourself? There are phones which are at 1.9, which are very high. Even some people might gravitate towards that probably because of the cost, but they do not realize that the radiations that these phones are emitting are so high. Right? So that is one thing that you really need to look into. A couple of things which you can do in Bangalore as someone who is working in your desk job. You are constantly surrounded by these EMF radiations all around us, right? So small practices can you do, that is, distance yourself from these for a good amount of time in a day. That is, when I wake up, tell yourself that you will not use these devices for probably 1 or 2 hours. Finish your sadhana, finish your practice, finish your meals, and then go towards these devices. Can you reduce the amount of Bluetooth devices that are there also in your phone? This is something that you've also spoken about, right? Your Bluetooth headphones, your Bluetooth speakers, all of that. Can you change to a wired one instead? Can you put your phone on airplane mode before you sleep? Or rather, can you create a bedroom in such a way that it is an EMF-free zone? Put all of your devices in another room, and have one room which is dedicated, having no EMF radiation whatsoever, right? Or can you reduce amount of smart devices?
Imagine a techie marrying a yoga instructor saying, no technology in the bedroom. That's going to be the first thing young generation Gen Z, when you approach in Shaadi.com, BharatMatrimony.com, ask the other person, Manzoor hai to keep the phones out of the bedroom, computers out of the bedroom, or not?
So here's the thing, right? There are these small things that you can do on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be something that is very extreme, very drastic. You'll have to find that kind of balance within, right? So these are the
Awesome. Awesome. And a lot of us are living in this beautiful city of Bangalore, the silicon capital of India.
yeah.
And soon, maybe we can say the silicon capital of the world. We'll take the crown from San Francisco. But everybody who's young and comes to this city lives in paying guest accommodation, studio apartments. What's your advice to the youngsters coming in from their college into this great city, focusing on their job, but maybe not focusing on their health?
Okay, so there are a couple of things that they can definitely do. One thing is focus on what you can rather add to your meal rather than remove from it. So people say that, yeah, processed food is bad, sugar, having high amounts of sugar and salt is bad. Instead of looking at what you can remove from your meal, can you look at what positives I can add to it? That's an entire attitude shift that you must have from within. So when I wake up, right, when I'm staying at my PG, can I have a small nuts jar, a nuts mix where I keep next to my bed, where I break my fast in the morning with a couple of nuts and a fruit, or have an omelette rather than heading out for your PG food, which tends to be heavy on the simple carbohydrate side, right? Make these small changes. Instead of reaching out for coffee, a lot of people who live these fast-paced lives, not just people who are living in PGs as well, but people who are working professionals also, coffee or tea is the first thing that they reach out to. But we all know that that does not exactly like work in our favor.
And what you do is lemon water first.
Yeah.
So that's a good tip. Do you have people who are youngsters who stay in PGs that come to you to do pranayama meditation? And does that help people? So can, in addition to the food part, change of attitude, which is what you just said, do something more positive to your food rather than only focus on elimination of foods? Is there anything that you can prescribe to the PG people?
Okay. So with PG or with anyone living a very hectic lifestyle, prioritize your self-care beyond anything else. And that would be, can you do something to keep your mental health in check? In fact, pranayama and meditation is something that will absolutely do that. Because one thing you see with people who live these fast-paced lives, it is like running a marathon, right? It is not a sprint. At the end of the day, in a marathon, when you see towards the last few kilometers that is there, every single runner will always say it is a battle against your mind, right? So the one thing that you can do to overcome that is your self-care. Take care of yourself from within. How are you doing that? Are you practicing pranayama in the morning? Just take 15 minutes, right? As we had said earlier, 15 minutes of that practice in the morning. Have your nuts and seeds. Are you having a good variety of fruits, vegetables, your legumes, your pulses, your whole grains, your nuts and seeds, and a good amount of water? These are the 5 basic things that you need even in nutrition itself. That is all. Are you able to take care of all of that? Are you doing your sadhana to take care of your mental health? If these 2 parts are taken care of in your body will do so much more for you. And you will see that you will be able to do your work in such a happy way. You will no longer see your work as such a burden, right? So having that attitude shift, that mental shift is like very much needed.
Awesome. So, some of us are children inside of us and we don't know how to take care of ourselves. But many people already have children. What are some of the tips that you give parents for children?
That is actually very much needed, what you said. In fact, children look up to their parents, right? Ever since they are the smallest of kids, as soon as they understand what is going on around them, they want to copy their parents, right? You see all these cute videos also going around the internet where children are having the same sleeping styles, behavior styles of probably their father or their mother, right? So they want to copy them. Can you, as a parent, show your kid that you are going to the gym to work out? Can you show your kid that you're eating healthy rather than reaching out for a couple of drinks when you're stressed out in the day, right? So, one thing that I would want to tell your parents is that try to involve your kid a lot in the healthier activities that you have, right? When you are doing your meal prep, can you make your kids wash a couple of vegetables, which may look very colorful and so beautiful? These kids will be so excited by seeing that. Have a small platter where you have healthier snacks rather than reaching out to probably French fries or something. Now, I see a lot of this happening, not just with kids, but even with adults, right? When we look at certain mental related stresses that we may have in the day, if our day goes bad, what do? We reach out to comfort food. And these comfort foods tends to be overly salty, overly sugary, overly fried. Why? Is that because these salty, sugary, oily, they cause neuro excitement in us. They give us that sort of pleasure, right? Can you instead help your kid feel these same things with healthier food? Have just cut a couple of lady fingers and just bake it with just some salt and chili powder, and it tastes so beautiful. It is so much better than having a French fry, right? So associate your kid with having these snacks into these positive emotions. They will, when they face all these mental stress, mental disorders, whatever it might be, when they are not feeling so good, they will automatically gravitate towards better eating. When I was a kid, in fact, in school, my mother used to give me lunch boxes which were a little bit annoying for me. My friends used to bring Maggie, they used to bring chicken nuggets and sausage and all of that, and I was so jealous of them. Whereas my mother gave me a chapati, she gave me dal, she gave me some vegetables which was so cumbersome. They could eat with forks and spoons, whereas I had to sit on the table and properly eat my food. But because of the ways in which she brought me up, that is what makes me who I am now. When I reach out to comfort, I reach out to these kind of foods rather than reaching out to
Processed
unhealthy,
foods.
yeah, reaching out to an unhealthy lifestyle. I'm not saying don't eat that as well, but where is the balance? Are you having that 80-20 balance or not? Right? That is what is more important.
And when you do this shopping for groceries and items and all, what does Miruna look for when she goes shopping? For her health, for her well-being, for just the way she looks at life.
Okay, so this is actually something that is pretty funny. When I go shopping, I come with 4 huge bags of vegetables. Like, you would not believe, some friends of mine have also made fun of me, saying you're like the vegetable vendor of our flat and all of that, because I absolutely love vegetables. I was not as fond of fruits as much, but vegetables, I would say that I would buy so much of vegetables.
What's your favorite vegetable?
That's very difficult.
You have many of them.
I have many of them. There's the only thing that I did not like was bitter gourd, but I found a way to love that as
So it's all in the preparation
well. Yeah,
and the
exactly.
acceptance.
Yeah.
How do you prepare your bitter gourd?
Okay, so you will have to cut it lengthwise, remove the white portion out, and slice it up. Probably put some salt, little chili powder, haldi, and just shallow fry or bake it, and that's it. It becomes like
My
these
mouth,
crispy chips.
my mouth is already
Yeah,
watering.
mine too. It becomes these crispy chips which you can eat, and it has like no oil also.
So you mentioned that bindi could be done in the same way,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and bitter gourd can be done in the same
So
way.
these vegetables have these natural flavors of their own. We don't need to, as Indians, we tend to add so much spice, so much masala, so much gravies to it. It's not needed at all. Bring out its natural characteristics.
So Mirana, you come back with 4 shopping bags, okay, of vegetables. Well, let's say you're not buying vegetables
Okay.
and you're going to buy any products in the market.
Okay.
What are you looking at as a person who's into the wellness category?
All right. So when it comes to, let's say, not vegetables, I gravitate towards having, let's say you pick up a box of muesli for breakfast, right? A lot of people have cereals, these grains, oats, whatever it might be for breakfast, right? Even if you might be having something that is packaged, I look at the back, look at the ingredients list. Usually, if it has like a very large ingredient list, it tends to have a lot of these preservatives, additives, synthetic um, flavors, colors. Can you look at all of that and see whether they are healthy or not? And usually it is listed in their volume ratio, right? The one that is produced or it is present the most is present in the beginning. That will be the first couple of ingredients. And then it goes to the whatever is present the least, right? So I look at that. Is it healthy or not? Yes, no, I purchase it, right? And look at the amount of sodium also that is present in that product, right? The amount of sodium that our body needs per day is only 5 grams. That is half a teaspoon. Whereas now, if you see, there are a lot of products which have a lot of sodium. So something like these processed meats, cured meats, cheese, even if I have that, I make sure that I limit my daily intake.
So, when you're looking at items, you're looking at labels, you're educating yourself. And even if you're having something that could be sinful for your body, you're looking at limitation.
Exactly.
Awesome ideas from Viruna. So, one question, Ayurveda, is it practical in 2024?
The entire concept or the entire question of it being practical or not should never be a question. When it comes to Ayurveda itself, right, let's understand what that is even in the first place. So Ayurveda talks about the balance of the doshas that are there in your body, right? So what are doshas? There are mainly three, right? 3 body types. You have Vata, you have Pitta, you have Kapha. That everybody knows. How do you identify who you are? Okay. So if you see Vata people, they will tend to be very lean, very thin. They will eat whatever they want and they will not gain weight at all, right? Exactly. So you will see these people tend to be very extroverted. They will tend to make friends so easily. Yeah, exactly. But when you look at Pitta, right? I am more of a Pitta dominant person, right? I will tend to be a little bit more muscular in build. Whereas if you see Kapha, you will tend to be a little bit on the heavier side. Right? That is one way to identify who you are. Another thing, as I said, Vata people, you're very extroverted. Pitta people, we tend to be slightly conserved. We'll be a little bit more calculative with who we meet, who we talk. We will think, okay, how do I go speak to this person? What should I say so that he will be happy? We will think a little bit more and we will approach that person also in a calculated way. Kapha people are very introverted. Okay. Look at the minds of these people, Vata people, you, monkey mind, right? For you, doing meditation is very important.
Okay.
So you see how identifying who you are, right? When you identify who you are, you will get to know what exactly you're supposed to do to support your body type, right? People who are Vata dominant, you should not be eating a lot of salads because it will come out of your body, because the elements that are dominant in Vata is space and air. It will not digest the raw food or the salads as much. So having boiled vegetables is something that will support you much better. Whereas for me, being Pitta dominant, I will have to have more salads because the element of fire is very high in my body.
So you have to calm it down.
Calm it down.
Very interesting. So there's one group of people that I feel need a lot of love and care, which are teenage girls. Right? We take Ayurveda, we take yoga, we take meditation, we get better hair, we get better lipstick, we get eating correctly, so we have the correct figure, right? What is your advice to teenage girls?
One thing which I will need not just teenage girls, but the parents of them to understand is a lot of teenage girls, they go through this very big transition in their lives when they attain puberty. Right? That can be a very confusing time for most people, right? Your body changes, your hips start to grow larger, you develop breasts, you start to look different, you start to speak a little bit differently. It's very confusing. I still remember when my mother took me out to shop for a sports bra. I was like, gee, what is this? It was very weird. You have to make that normal for the kid, normal for that teenage girl. Educate her, tell her why it is important. Right? That is something that needs to come from the parent, because if you are in 5th or 6th, you do not have that maturity for yourself to do that, right? How much will you possibly go research? Even if you do, you might be curious. Do you accept that from within, that this is what my body is, this is that transition? This is something that needs to come from the parent, right? You need to understand what are these sexual changes that are happening within you, these hormones that are coming from within. You will start to develop acne, pimples, you'll start to have hair fall, these mood changes, these mood swings. what are these? Are these normal? These are some things that you need to look at, as well as a lot of these girls I see. It's something that happened to me as well. As soon as I attained puberty, especially in India, we don't tend to work out as much. Sports is something that you drop off. Very normal, right? As parents, can you encourage your girls to still continue? Not saying during those 3 days when we're going through that pain. During those 3 days, I myself sit at home, do not really do any work. I do not subject myself to pranayama also. I just sit there, allow my body to, heal from within. And after those 3 days, I continue my practice, right? Can you allow them to do these physical activities, continue it? You will have to support your girl as a parent.
Just interrupting. Is there a chakra that is linked to the woman's menstruation cycle, and therefore is there an asana that women can do during that period?
Yeah, so that is your sacral chakra. That is there 1 inch below your belly button, right? So there are a couple of asanas which you can do. You can do the pigeon pose, which is all these hip opening asanas. Those are the ones which are very good. Malasana, where you are sitting in a squatted position. I see a lot of these older people can't even squat anymore in these Indian toilets, these Indian traditional toilets that we had. It's actually very good for hip opening, right? The Malasana, you have your pigeon pose, all of that you can do. So any sort of hip opening asana is something that will really support that particular area. And of course, if you can do your mantra chanting, your meditation towards that particular chakra as well, that will also help them.
Awesome. So, we have talked about meditation, we've talked about the mind, we've talked about the fire in the human body, the asanas, and even lipsticks being dangerous, from a microplastics point of view. Now I want to ask something which relates to you personally.
Okay.
We'll do a rapid fire, okay? And you don't have to think too much. We'll go quickly. You give me your best in this, okay? We live in the city of Bangalore.
Yes.
In my opinion, the most happening place on the planet. 5 top places to eat in Bangalore for Miruna.
Okay, so I love Kerala food. So Fort Cochin is one. I love our dosas, MTR, CTR, amazing. And when it comes to North Indian, I love this Daba ESTD. That's also something that they have. And the fifth one would be all these Pan-Asian places that are around. I love these Pan-Asian Japanese food and sushi and all of that. So anything in that category also works for me.
Awesome. Your favorite location for holidaying? You have one or you have many?
I think when it comes to a holiday, more of these water-based sports is something which I absolutely love. Sitting on the beach, swimming in the water is something that I absolutely love. In fact, I used to swim also when I was in school. So any of these water-based activities where you have the river flowing or you are sitting in the beach and just connecting with nature is something that I love. So the mountains and the beach, these two are usually like where I tend to gravitate towards.
So you're looking for a water body next to either of these locations where you can enjoy a vacation.
Yeah.
Awesome. 4 shopping bags of veggies. Again, I'm going to ask you, what are your top 5 veggies?
Okay. Ridge Guard, Bottle Guard, Snake Guard, zucchini, pumpkin.
You really love your vegetables because you're going, and we already finished 5. She's a veggies lady. Beetroot or sweet potato, which one would you marry?
Sweet potato, because I love sweet potato fries.
Awesome.
Those are the best.
Awesome. Good answer. Your secret skincare routine. All the girls out there want to know why you have such glowing and beautiful skin. She's actually glowing on the podcast. You can't see that on the camera. The filter doesn't capture it. What is your secret? I know it's the pranayama now. It's the breath.
Yeah.
What else?
One thing which a lot of people can look into is whether you have dandruff or not. So dandruff will tend to cause a lot of acne and pimples also on your face.
True.
Can you take care of that? Are you switching out your pillows on a regular basis? Right? The pillow covers, they tend to carry that bacteria also. Even if you might be going and washing your hair, are you switching these out?
Damn. In 20 years of practice, I never thought about this. That is so logical. So
what you should do, switch your pillow covers, take your entire pillow, go hang it out in the sun. The sun will kill all of that bacteria.
Let's go pillow shopping, everyone. Pillow for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to combat dandruff. That's what Miruna says. So you now have your pillowcases labeled so you don't have infection frequently for the fungus or the bacteria that are there on your hair.
Exactly. And depending on your body type, So since I was very pitta dominant, I tend to have a lot of fire from inside. I was getting a lot of these breakouts itself. So can I have all of these salads, reduce the amount of spices also I'm having, reduce the oil that is there. I was having very oily skin, right? So according to your body type, can you supplement yourself accordingly in the right way with the foods, with the pranayama, have sufficient amount of water, right? Which will remove all of this from inside. So
Before we wind up, a lot of us get wound up, right? Stress. We fight a lot. If you observe the world today, people are arguing more. People have very acerbic opinions. We don't allow somebody else to live and let live. As a person that vibrates in the realm of ancient Indian practices, what are some of the tips that you practice, or you would advise people that follow you for them to come out of a stressed event, of a fight with a loved one, a fight with a colleague, or you're just basically stressed because somebody's mistreated you? How do you come out from that very quickly?
all right. So you will, again, as I had said earlier, a lot of what we project outside tends to be how we are feeling internally. No matter what the environment is like outside, can you be that light from within? We tend to look for that outside, in fact, rather, right? We want to satisfy ourselves by buying a good house, a good car, a good bike, right? Can you find that light within yourself? When you do that, that is by connecting better with yourself through meditation. That is healing yourself, allowing yourself to not be as stressed anymore through your pranayam, through your breathing. When you're eating well, allowing those positive energies to flow inside of you, you become that beacon of light within yourself. And when you are faced all of these situations from outside, you are there, right, for yourself. You don't need to reach out to something that is external anymore. You are that home from within.
Powerful words, Miruna. Become the beacon of light. Have your own internal battery of vibration. And if I can summarize today's thing with you is, have your own me time first thing in the morning. Walk your day through with mindful breathing. Eat a lot of veggies. Okay? Focus on your skincare routine really well. Choose the products that you buy carefully by reading labels. These are great words from a wellness guru who's building her career in teaching you how to meditate and do pranayama. If you want to reach out to Miruna, you can find her on Instagram. You can find her on the social media. We'll be listing her links down below in the description. Or if you have questions to Miruna, please comment below and ask Miruna what does she do, and we'll be happy to get those questions across to her. My name is Ryan Fernando. I'm your nutrition coach. I'm your health coach, and I'm here to serve you for better health and better wisdom.